Okay, so today we are starting with the third shloka. The first two shlokas, as I mentioned, were covered in the earlier class in detail, and so we talked about teja. Teja means brilliance. So one is a physical brilliance. Somebody does a lot of makeup, plastic surgery, wear bright clothes, jewelry. That's not the brilliance that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is talking about. He's talking about inner brilliance, which we see in the people who are saintly, people who are spiritual. They have this inner glow of divinity in them. And those who have come in contact with Mahatmas like Puja Swami Chinmayananda Ji, were able to see that not only the glow in their eyes, their face was so lustrous, they had love and compassion for all. And it's not has nothing to do with youth or makeup or clothes. It is the inner glow of divinity, and that is what divine people have, that inner brilliance. And and that manifests in all their actions, how they deal with others, their love for the world, their love for others, compassion, spontaneous. That's why Puja Gurudev traveled throughout the world giving talks and starting these Chinmaya mission centers all over the world. We have about 300 centers out of compassion for us so that we may get this knowledge. Then he talks about Kshama. Kshama is forgiveness. Shama is forgiveness. Shama is, can close it, patience. Shama is serenity. These people who have this Shama, have this compassion, have this patience and spontaneous forgiveness. So one forgiveness is that इसने मुझे किया है, he has done it, but I'm waiting for an opportunity. Right now I forgave him, but the moment I get a chance, no, not that. Forgiveness is not even to feel that I have been wronged. Some people forgive, why? Because they are helpless. I can't do anything right now. But true forgiveness, which we see in the lives of all these saints who were wronged so much, whether it was Tukaram, whether it was Mirabai, whether it was Sant Gyaneshwar, Jesus, even they were wronged so much by society, they didn't even have a feeling that it has been, anything wrong has been done. So that serenity, that is true forgiveness, not even to think that I have been wrong. And if somebody has done wrong, Bhagavan will automatically, whatever happens, you just pray for him. Bhagavan, please take care of him. And I cannot do anything. I will just, in my heart, I have no resentment. That is called true Kshama, forgiveness. Dhriti means fortitude. Fortitude means in life, obstacles will come in everybody's life. There will be problems. There could be physical problems. Health could be, there could be work-related problems, family problems, emotional stress. There could be intellectual confusions. But the ability to stay strong despite all of life's problems. Life may throw any, and we see that people who are successful, they continue to work even when there was a famous line which says that the person who, when everybody else has given up, everybody else says it can't be done, he says, I'm going to do it. That is Dhriti. That is what Bhagavan Sri Krishna talks about. And in the 18th chapter, he talks about three kinds of Dhriti: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Sattvic means pure, Rajasic means passionate, and Tamasic means ignorance. So what is Sattvic Dhriti? That I have a good, true goal in my life, that this is what I'm going to do, this is what is good for society, what is good not only for me and my family, but is good for all. And then the ability to stay firmly on that path, that is Sattvic, that I'm on this good path, I will do it. Rajasic Dhriti is that it is my selfish goal. I have my own business, or I have my own job, or I have my family. And so I do everything for me, myself, and my family, and I work very, very hard. But whatever I collect is mine. I keep it for myself. I don't share with society. I don't give to others. That is Rajasic. They work hard, they contribute, but ultimately whatever they get, they keep. While a Sattvic person thinks whatever I have is Bhagwan's gift to me, I keep what I need, and what I have extra, I share to the best of my ability. So that is Sattvic and Rajasic. Tamasic Dhriti is the one who has a wrong goal but stays firmly on it. Like these people who are terrorists or who are mass murderers or who are robbers or smugglers, they also work hard, to rob a bank. It needs a lot of dhriti. It's not that easy. You have to plan, you have to, carry out all that. Or, to, people who run all these schemes where they cheat hundreds of people, thousands. It needs a lot of dhriti, but that is tamasic dhriti, that even no matter how many people are harmed, I will not deviate from my path. So that is called dhriti. So what we should develop is sattvic dhriti, that may I stay firm in my path to benefit society and to reach Bhagwan. So that is my goal should be to reach God, and also while I am living to benefit as many people as possible. Then Shaucham. Shaucham means purity, cleanliness. So there are two kinds of cleanliness. External cleanliness, we all know. I should keep my room clean, my closet. I should not have too many overclothes. If I have extra clothes, give it to, Goodwill or wherever. My desk, I should keep my papers organized. My room should be clean. My house should be clean. And that we all know. But more important is inner cleanliness. And what is inner cleanliness? What is inner shaucham? That is removal of raga, dvesha, likes, dislikes, anger, hatred, greed, jealousy. So all these negative qualities one should remove, and that is called inner purity. That in my mind there should be no anger, no greed, no jealousy. And then Bhagavan also says once you remove these negativities, then you have cleaned the slate. It's like a teacher comes in the classroom and all kind of junk is written by students, they're mischievous. So she cleans that. But then she writes what the students are supposed to learn. So similarly, you and I should clean our negativities and then fill the mind with positivities, with positive qualities, as the Saint Francis said, where there is anger, let me bring love. Where there is hatred, let me bring compassion, kindness. So that is called Shaucham. And Adroho. Adroho means no hatred. Not even anybody, even if somebody has harmed me, as they say, some of the beggars in India say, Jo de uska bhi bhala, jo na de uska bhi bhala. So if somebody has done good, uska bhi bhala. If somebody has done bad, uska bhi bhala. I have no hatred towards anybody. I love all. And ultimately, it's not that you become a doormat, but inside, if I have any anger, any hatred, then it's going to hurt me more than it hurt others. So if I have love, compassion, kindness, then my heart is filled with good qualities, and that is good karmas. Other droha also means betrayal. So like in they say like desh droha, betraying of the country, or pitru droha, that whatever my parents have taught me, I am not following them. Or guru droha, our guru has taught us, and when we follow, then we are loyal. That is adroha, but not following is betrayal. Then there is another beautiful quality, na atimanita. Atimanita means excessive pride, arrogance about myself. I am so great, I am so. So the teachers tell us that you cannot demand respect. You cannot say, oh, I want you to respect me. You have to earn the respect. When I do good deeds, automatically the world will respect me. I don't need to show off. I don't need to brag. I do not need to show that I am always 10.0. No, everybody has. Somebody is a 6, somebody is a 7, somebody is an 8. And my goal in life should be using these ideals like Puja Gurudev, and we just celebrated Janmashtami, how Bhagwan lived his life, how Sri Ramchandra ji lived his life. So living a life of goodness, and then automatically people will respect me. And Bhagwan in the 15th chapter, he says, Vimudha nanu pasyanti jnana chakshushaha. So how do I develop this jnana chakshu, this eye of wisdom, is by practicing these good qualities. And very important is that this knowledge is for me, myself. It's not that my husband should read this Bhagavad Gita and follow, or my wife, or my teenage son. It is for me. And whom do I compare with? I compare with myself. I don't have to compare, oh, my neighbor is like that, I am better, I go to temple twice a week, he doesn't go at all. No, I compare with myself. Last year I was this year how have I progressed? Am I spiritually more evolved? Am I closer to God? That's how I try my best, that through this year, have I come closer to Bhagwan or not? If I have, then I'm on the right path. If I have gone away from Bhagwan, then I am not. So compare with myself and continue to improve, and that is called na ati manita. And Bhagavan says, Bhavanti sampadam daivi. So these are the qualities of a daivi people. What is daivi? We'll talk about in the next shloka. And abhijatasya, and one who is born in the divine state, and who is practicing these divine qualities. So the first 3 shlokas of chapter 16 deal with divine qualities, which is called Daivi Sampatti. It means the divine wealth. That is what wealth means, the inner wealth, not how many dollars you have in your account, but how much inner wealth we have. So that is shloka number 3. Now Bhagwan starts talking about people who are asuri, who are not divine, whom he calls as fallen, diabolically fallen, or asuras. Asuras does not mean people with horns and people with a tail or anything. Asura means people like us who are not fully following the divine quality. So Asura is not somebody else, but in me I have both. I have divine qualities and I have Asuric qualities. So the purpose of reading this and studying is so that I may slowly reduce my Asuric qualities and increase my divine qualities. So we'll do shloka number 4. दम्भो दर्पोऽभिमानश्च क्रोधः पारुष्यमेव च अज्ञानं चाभिजातस्य पार्थ सम्पदमासुरीम्. Together. Dambho darpobhimanascha krodah parushyameva cha ajnanam chabhijatasya artha sampadamasurim. So now Bhagwan is telling us about Asuri people. And I'll just translate it and then we'll go word by word. Dambha means show off, pretending to be something that I am not. I am really something else, but what I'm showing to the world is a different image. Darpa means arrogance, pride, arrogance, false pride, and putting others down. Abhimana, what is the difference between Darpa and Abhimana? Though they sound the same. Darpa is putting others down. Abhimana is thinking I am great. So one is that I look down on people. Arey, this guy is useless, or he he shops here. I never go to these stores. I go to Neiman Marcus. He has a useless car. I have a better car. He has a small house. So one is looking down, and abhimana is a false sense of pride where I show off. So that is asuri quality. Then krodha means anger, unnecessarily getting anger or getting too angry. Sometimes you may need to correct, like a child or something, but letting anger get out of hand or where I start harming people, that is Bhagwan says is wrong. And parushya means harshness. So person who is lot of anger, then his speech becomes very harsh. Parushyam evacha. And how does all these qualities come? Ajnanam, through ignorance. Not having the right understanding, I practice all these wrong qualities, arrogance, show off, and we'll do each one in detail. Ajnanam cha abhijatasya. And those who are practicing these qualities, they do out of ignorance. And what is the ignorance we'll talk about? And Bhagavan says, Partha Sampadam Asuri. Asuri qualities, O Arjuna, are these. So if you look in shloka number 4, we can distinguish between divine and asuric. The word Daivi Sampati comes from Deva. Deva means light, means brilliance. So people who have this, we can close the door please. People who have these divine qualities have brilliance, and that's why we see when we see the picture of devas, in the Puranas, devas always have this light around them, and asuras have tail and all these horrible features. So here it does not mean people all look the same, but what is the true inner nature? Is it divine, Daivi, or is it asuric? What is the word asuric? Asuric comes from asu. Asu means the pranas. So asu shu ramate iti asura. So asuras are the ones who revel in sense objects, sense pleasures. So that is asuric. So the one who is practicing just sense pleasures, living for me, myself, and I, enjoying life, not worried about giving back to society and how I enjoy, even if I hurt others, even if I step on others, even if I cheat others. That is asuric qualities, and using wrong means wrong qualities. And as long as I get what I want, it doesn't matter what the world thinks. So dambha, as I said, is arrogance, is showing off. Number one, is showing something I am not. Also, it means that getting things by wrong means. Say like a person has worked hard and built up his business, and he is very successful, very wealthy, that's good. Another guy is very jealous. He says, this guy is successful. How can I become successful? Well, what he does by cheating, by cheating or by wrong means, he will earn the wealth. Both are equally wealthy, but one has earned by right means, the other one has earned by cheating others. So for the world, they both look alike. They both have same kind of house, same kind of car, but how they have earned, that ultimately comes in their karmas, and that it gets carried not only in this life, but in many lives. So wrong actions and living only for self pleasures. And darpa and abhimana we talked about. Arrogance is looking down on others. Abhimana is thinking I am great. And Krodha, Gurudev says in his commentary, he says it very beautifully, that when I don't get what I want something, I'm selfish, or people don't respect me. I have this, my arrogance that I am somebody special. And when people don't respect me, I get angry. So that anger is out of selfishness. But sometimes we find that anger for a temporary may be okay, like as I said, to correct a child, or say if a subordinate is not working, you may not out of an intention of hurting that person, but an intention of correcting. And the anger should be controlled, not out of control, but use it to help that person. That's why we find sometimes even in the Puranas, rishis get angry, but they get angry to correct us. So like there's a beautiful story about the Sanat Kumaras, the four sons of Brahmaji. They wanted to meet Bhagwan Vishnu, and these are very evolved, very saintly, people, very and so they go to Brahmaji, Vishnu Bhagwan's door, and Jay and Vijay are the two guards, and they are standing. They say, "Who are you for? Get out of here." They say, "We want to meet Bhagwan Vishnu." They say, "We don't care. Bhagwan is busy. He doesn't have time for people like you." And they insult these four Mahatmas, these four great saints, and they treat them very badly. So the saints feel that these two people should allow people to come to God. When they are standing at the gate of Bhagwan, they should encourage people to come and not say, "Oh, get out," or "He's too busy," or "He doesn't have time for people like you. He only meets." These guards sometimes get more arrogant than the boss. "My boss is busy. He can only meet so and so. He doesn't have time." So then the Sanat Kumaras give them a curse, but not out of to correct them. He said, both of you are behaving like asuras. Even though you are standing at the door of Bhagwan Sri Vishnu, you are not allowing people to go, and so then they get cursed. And then they become Rakshasas in subsequent births. They become Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Then in Ramayana, they become Ravana and Kumbhakaran. In Bhagavad, they become Kansa and Chanur. So and then of course these two, Jay and Vijay, realize their mistake, and then they ask for forgiveness and they correct. So the point is that anger, first of all, one should not get angry to the greatest extent possible. Try to correct people with love and compassion, and that's why, because anger harms me more than it harms others. Then Parushyam, and Parushyam means harshness. So when I'm angry, then I say things that I shouldn't have said. Baad mein bhi say, "Arey yaar, I shouldn't have said that. I hurt that person's feelings. I lost a good friend, for one small mistake, I hurt somebody." So Parushyam, so that is harshness. And where does this come from? And Parushyam also can be sarcasm, putting people down and making fun of them and treating them badly. And it comes from Ajnanam. Ajnanam means not knowing who I am, not knowing my true nature, and out of confusion. So even though all of us are divine, all of us have Bhagwan's presence in us, all of us have the Atman, the self, but not practicing those qualities. And Bhagwan says all of us can improve these qualities. We can all develop. It is just a matter of knowing who I am and getting right knowledge. And not having right knowledge, we get confused. So not having right knowledge reminds me of a story. So these two friends were not very smart. So they met in the morning, and one guy said, "I didn't sleep at all." He said, "What happened? You didn't sleep?" He says, "Whole night I was in the train. Chicago to New York, New York to Chicago, Chicago to New York, New York to Chicago. I didn't sleep at all. I am so stressed." Other one said, "I had a great night." Said, "You had a great night? What did you do?" "I was at a party. I was invited, and there was this food. Anybody could go there, and everybody was eating what they want, drinking what they want. Khao pio, maja karo." There was dance going on and music. So the first one says, "How come you didn't invite me to the party?" He says, "I tried, but you were in the train all night, Chicago to New York." so, so not knowing, not knowing our true nature, that is called confusion. So same way, not knowing who I am, that I am that divine creature. All of us are Bhagwan's creation, and those who don't follow this, they are called Asuri, Partha Sampadam Asuri. Not following these is called Asuri Sampatti. Then Bhagavan tells us what is the result. What is the result of following divine qualities and what is the result of following asuri qualities. And as I said, the first three shlokas listed the divine qualities. If you have a chance, go home and read those qualities and then write them down and see how many of those divine qualities I have, how many am I lacking. And then what is the result of this? And the rest of this whole chapter, which is 20 some shlokas, 24 shlokas, talks about asuri. Because most of the world has these. When we go through them, we will see how these negative thinking, how it is, especially in this Kali Yuga now, it is so widespread, and how can I correct myself. So that's why the rest of the chapter talks about asuric qualities. And also the Daivi qualities Bhagavan Sri Krishna has talked already in the previous chapters, in 12th chapter, in 13th chapter, in 9th chapter. Bhagavan has given us the qualities in the second chapter of what the good qualities should be. So the 16th chapter is primarily devoted to what we should not do. See, we have already been told what we should do, now what we should not do. So we'll do shloka number 5. Daivi sampad vimokshaya.
Devi Sampad Vimokshaya
Nibandaya surimata.
Nibandaya Surimata
Mashucha sampadam daivim.
Masucha Sampadam Devi
Abhijatosi Pandava.
Abhijatosi Pandava
Together. Daivi sampad vimokshaya. Nibandaya surimata. Mashucha sampadam daivi. Abhijatosi Pandava. So Bhagavan is telling us what is the result of Daivi qualities and what is the result of Asuri qualities. And he says, O Pandava, O Arjuna, Daivi Sampat Vimokshaya. Daivi, people who have divine qualities, Daivi Sampat. Moksha means liberation. Vimoksha means complete liberation. The goal of life, as Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures tell us, is liberation from this bondage of birth and death. Because again, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shainam. Again birth, again death, then again coming into a mother's womb, staying for 9 months like that, then coming out and then going through this life of birth and death. So Bhagavan says that ultimately the goal of all scriptures is moksha, and that is described in Bhagavad, Srimad Bhagavad very well. What it says is that one who does not know his true nature, swaswarupa, that is bandhan. So knowing that my true nature is immortal self, I am that divinity occupying this particular body and I have this particular name and this form and all that, that is thinking I am this limited individual is bondage. Knowing that I am that spiritual being occupying this body and ultimately abiding in that true self, that is freedom. And then once a person knows that I am that divinity, then whatever the world can do to me, it doesn't affect. That's why these great Mahatmas, they continue to work throughout their life. Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, even with 15% heart function, he was traveling throughout the world, giving talks till the last day, till he could not finally anymore. So that is called bondage, where this person does not care about physical discomfort, mental discomfort, but his goal or her goal is spiritual evolution. So that is moksha. And what is bondage? What is bandha? Nibandha, bandha means bondage. Nibandha means nishchayena bandhad, completely bound. And asuri mata. Mata Bhagwan, when he uses, what he means is not only I am saying it, but great rishis have said it before. It is believed. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna never says, oh, I am, because I am saying you should follow. He said, I am saying, and I am quoting previous great Mahatmas. That's why the Bhagavad Gita is said to be the essence of the Upanishads. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, that's why they say, Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dogda Gopalanandan. So Bhagavan is the milkman who has milked the essence of the Upanishads and given it to us through Arjuna. So that's why Arjuna, we always respect him, because it's because of him that we have this knowledge. So he says people who have this Daivi Prakriti are free, because world cannot bind them. Once they hold on to God's feet, then God says, I take care of them. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. They say, oh, what will happen? Nothing will happen. God says, I am your caretaker. But people who are bound are people who depend on things for their happiness. This thing, if I have, I am happy. If it goes away, I am unhappy. Or this person, if he smiles at me nicely, I am happy. If she doesn't talk to me, I am unhappy. So we depend on people or objects or situations or job, or in the heat I am unhappy, in the cold I'm happy in all situations, because everything is divine. So that is freedom. Bondage is to depend on a person or a situation for happiness. And also I was listening somewhere very beautifully. It's in one of the commentaries. It says that people who are selfish, who only think of themselves, it's like they're in a lifeboat. Like if a ship is sinking and a person gets in the lifeboat and says, I don't care anybody else, I don't want to take anybody else. That kind of selfishness is called lifeboat mentality, where as long as I am safe, fine. Others, they let them drown, let them die. And he says it not only at the individual level, at the national level also. We find some countries are very rich. They consume all the world's resources, they have more money, and other countries are poor, they are suffering, they don't have enough vaccine, they don't have enough food. Marne do, who cares? As long as I have my comfortable life. So this is called a lifeboat mentality. And we can see at the individual level, we can see at the national level. So that's what they're saying, that if anybody has more, and that's why, the rich countries, it is a duty of the rich countries to share with others, to give others. And same thing for people, wealth. If I have more than what I need, I should share with others. And he says, Ma Shucha, do not worry, because Arjuna, don't worry, because you have divine qualities. The fact that Arjuna surrendered to Bhagavan Sri Krishna and said, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapanna. He says, I am bowed down to you, Bhagavan. You save me. You tell me what is right. You tell me what is, tell me what is good. What is good and what is not only beneficial for me, but for beneficial for all. And please tell me that. Yat shreyosat nishchitam bruhitan me. Tell what is shreyas, what is good for me and what is good for others. And for us, we should also think that we should not worry. At least we are sitting and studying the Bhagavad Gita. And we have come to the 16th chapter, so those of you who have been listening. And even if we have not, we have these books material available. As I said, this is available in the office. It's 18 volumes. So take them and read and study on our own also. So he says, do not worry. The fact that we are sitting all and discussing Bhagavad Gita, Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava. Oh Arjuna, you are of a divine family. Bhagavan Sri Krishna obviously knew Arjuna is from a great family. He has a divine mother Kunti and Pandu. But also you have divine qualities. So the idea is that I should also not be discouraged that I cannot improve. This knowledge will help me to improve. And the bondage can be three kinds. Again, tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic. So sattvic bondage, Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, is like there is a fire and covered by smoke. Now the fire is covered by smoke. That is very easy to remove. Just a gust of breeze will come and the smoke will go away and the fire will be seen. So that is sattvic. Then rajasic bondage is like glass, mirror, and there is dust on it. Suppose the house hasn't been cleaned, you are out of town for a month, and you come back and your mirror has dust on it. You just blow and it won't go away. Just with breeze, you have to take a cloth and physically wipe it, and that is second kind. That is rajasic bondage. That needs some effort. Sattvic needs minimal effort. Rajasic needs. Tamasic bondage is like the womb. A child in the womb, that doesn't come out that easily. It takes 9 months and it has to grow and then has to come out with lot of pain to the child and pain to the mother. So three kind of bondage. So we have to reduce our tamasic qualities, our negative selfish qualities, and develop more sattvic qualities. So that's why he says, do not worry. And that should be our sadhana. That should be our effort to improve Daivi qualities and reduce the Asuri qualities. We'll do one more shloka number 6, and then we'll do 7th. Then we'll have a few minutes for discussion. If anybody has any questions or comments, either here or even on Zoom, if anybody has any. So we'll do shloka number 6. द्वौ भूतसर्गो लोकेऽस्मिन् दैव आसुर एव च दैवो विस्तरशः प्रोक्तः आसुरं पार्थ मे शृणु. Together. द्वौ भूतसर्गौ लोकेऽस्मिन् दैव आसुर एव च दैवो विस्तरशः प्रोक्तः आसुरं पार्थ मे शृणु. So Partha me shrunu. O Arjuna, Partha means the son of Pritha, the earth. That is one of Kunti's names was Pritha. So that's why Partha, O son of Pritha, me shrunu. Listen from me. Bhagavan says there are two kinds of beings. Dvau bhuta sargau. Sargau means creation. So in this creation, dvau bhuta, there are two kinds of people. Again, what he does not mean that there is a watertight compartment, that one is a Daivi and one is Asuri. Means we have mixture of both. And question is, which one is predominant? Am I predominantly Daivi or am I predominantly Asuri? So Dvau Bhuta Sargau. Sargau means in this creation, Loke Asmin. This is the 7th case. Asmin Loke. In this world, Asmin means this, Loka means in this world. O Arjuna, there are two kinds of people. Daiva, Asura, Evacha. Daivi and Asuri, both are there. And there is a mixture. Somebody is more Daivi, somebody is more Asuri, somebody is 50-50, So Daiva, Asura, Evacha. Daivo Vistarashav Proktaha. Daiva I have spoken in detail. In the first 3 shlokas, Bhagwan Sri Krishna had given us all the 22 qualities of Daivi people. And the idea is that these one should write down, as I have mentioned also before, on the board or somewhere in the book. And then see how many of these divine qualities I have. And then on one side, how many Asuri I have and what percentage and how to improve. So Vistarashav Prokta, I have already told you in detail about the divine. The rest of the chapter is about Asuri qualities. And we will see that as we go through that, some of these we have, and if it rings a bell, okay, I have such ideas, then how to improve. So it is like Bhagwan has done a diagnosis. You go to the doctor and you give a blood sample and he runs it, the lab runs it, and then they say, okay, your blood sugar should be, 90, but fasting, yours is 110, your cholesterol is 220, and your blood pressure, he checks, is, 160, 180. So the diagnosis has been done by Bhagwan here for us, that what is right and what is wrong, and how much your Devi should be and how much your Asuri should be. And this is meant for self-analysis. It is not meant, as I said, to judge others, but to see that where do I fit in Bhagwan Sri Krishna's Taraju, in his scale. Am I on this side or am I on this side, on the scale? Like even we have this in the justice, the justice is blind, but there are two scales. And we find that even good people sometimes can get uh, negative qualities. And I was reading a story of Indra. Indra is the king of gods, supposed to be very evolved individual, but he also has insecurity because he thinks that I am king of heaven, and sometimes he's fighting with the Danavas, with the Asuras, but sometimes even somebody is doing a lot of good on earth and he's worried that maybe he will become king of heaven. So there's this story of Indra who was watching on earth, and there was this King Pritha, who had done 99 yajnas, had done 99, Prithu was his name, 99 yajnas, and he was doing the 100th, and the 100th was Ashwamedh, where the horse is used to do the yajna. And Indra said, if he does 100 yajnas, then he can become king of heaven. So I should not allow that. So he makes himself invisible and then takes that horse and runs away. And while he is going, he takes the garb of a sannyasi and he leaves with the horse. And Prithu's son, he looks at it and he says, where is the horse going? And he runs after that. And he sees this sannyasi, but he is so smart. He says, this is not a sannyasi. This is Indra. He figures it out. And he immediately takes out his arrow to shoot Indra. And he had that much power that he could have destroyed. And then he said, no, I shouldn't do that. Even though Indra is doing wrong, but basically he is a good person. That's why he's king of heaven. So he lets him go. He forgives him. So the point is that even people who are sometimes in a very high position, they might be presidents, or they might be governors, or they might be, and sometimes we are surprised, how could he even do such a thing? So the idea of listening to these Puranic stories is not to judge Indra, or not to judge, Hiranyakashyapa or Ravana or Kansa, but to look within and see how I can make myself a better individual, improve my positive qualities, and reduce my negative quality. So we have done shloka up to 6. So basically we have summarized Bhagavan Sri Krishna in the first 3 chapters gives us the divine qualities. In the 4th shloka he mentions the negative. And in the 5th shloka he says that if you want freedom from cycle of birth and death, practice the Daivi Sampatti. But if you want to be bound again and again going through these and dependent, then that choice is yours. That's what Bhagavan says. Throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he says, this is what is the right thing, and that the choice is yours. Nowhere he says, thou shalt do it, or thou shalt suffer in hell. Nowhere Bhagavan says that. And then in the 5th shloka, he tells us that the Daivi Sampatti is for moksha, Asuri Sampatti is for bondage, and we should try as much as possible to make the right kind of choice. And he says that there are 2 kinds of people who are more divine, people who are more Asuri, and try to be more like the divine people. And that's why we read stories of great Mahatmas, great saints, Buddha and Guru Nanak and Jesus and all of these great, Tukaram, Narsi Mehta, and also that we also should follow those divine qualities. Ramakrishna, Paramhans, Swami Vivekananda, Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananda, for our own inspiration. So we have finished 6 shlokas. We have about 10 minutes. If anybody has any comments, any questions, anything you would like to add or ask, either on here in person or on Zoom, if anybody would like to add additional or ask any questions. Yeah, Satish Bhai.
So I see a parallel between the gunas, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic,
Right.
and these qualities, Devi, and Asuri, and Rakshas, right? So, for example, I think if we increase our sattva, the other two automatically reduce.
Yes.
And the same thing with the Devi quality, same thing, right? So, for instance, if we once we start indulging ourselves into spirituality, the love for the worldly objects reduces automatically.
Right.
Am I on the right thinking point?
Absolutely, yes. Because the example they give is like, suppose there is a water full of mud. How do you take the mud out? One is you pour it out, but you don't want to do that. You just keep putting clean water, clean water, clean water. Ultimately, mud will become less, and then the water will become completely clean. So as Satish Bhai said very well, that we have tamas and rajas, negative qualities. But as we start developing sattvic qualities, other will automatically get less. So as we develop daivi qualities, but one has to do it very alertly. And that is sadhana, that I should live my life alertly. That's why Gurudev always used to say alert living. Be alert, that watch your mind at all times. And as you fill your mind with positive qualities, you will have less time for negative qualities. And if the negative qualities are in me, I should consciously remove them. So it is a process, as Satish Bhai very well said. As I increase my positive qualities, automatically the negative will get less. As I live more and more in sattva, rajas and tamas will get less.
Because I see that when I concentrate on reducing my tamasic or rajasic qualities, sometimes I get hung up into that where I'm not concentrating on the sattvic qualities.
Yes.
And it's difficult route to go. If we go to the sattvic and try to be there, I think that's an easier route,
right,
than the other route.
Right, right. I think the goal of life should be very clear, and how do we say? So Bhagavan says, "Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te." Let Shastras be your guide. What does Shastra say? What does the Bhagavad Gita say? What does the Upanishad say? What does Ramayana say? Mahabharata. So let Shastra be your guide. Karya akarya vyavasthitav. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya akarya vyavasthitav. So let Shastras tell you what I should do, what I should not do, and then follow that. And Shastra, who interprets? Guru, Puja Gurudev. So all our gurus, that's why we say, Guru Shishya Parampara. Our Sanatan Dharma is from Guru to Shishya to Guru. So we don't have only one prophet or one. We have hundreds of rishis, all who have written the Upanishads and who have studied from their teacher and from their teacher. So from teacher to student, that's why, they say that it is come from Bhagwan himself. Bhagwan, Shiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Oh, I worship my Guru, who ultimately, the ultimate Guru is Bhagwan himself, whether it's Lord Shiva or Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So it is Bhagwan who gave this knowledge, and that's why the rishis never took credit for this Upanishads, for this knowledge. They, in their meditation, heard this wisdom and they just passed it on to us. They never said, I composed the Upanishad. In fact, Upanishads don't even have an author. They never even, there's no patent, there is no author. That's why our rishis just gave this knowledge. And the whole world is benefiting now from it. Yoga has become all over the world. Meditation has spread all over the world. People are doing, all these scriptures are spreading because the rishis had no ownership. So they lived the life, they got this knowledge, they are sharing it with us. So we are grateful to our gurus who have given us this knowledge, and our duty is to share it with others, pass it on as much as possible. So, if you want to give a wedding gift to a couple getting married, you can give them, a check or whatever gift. Along with them, give them a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. That you are getting married, use this as a manual for life. Swami Chinmayananda's commentary is simple, and they can read it. So that is how you pass on this knowledge. That is how. So, giving a gift is good, but yeah, go ahead. Yes, please.
So, everybody's perception of asuric qualities versus Devic qualities is different.
Yes.
And everybody may feel it differently.
Yes.
And sometimes a person is surrounded by more asuric
Right.
qualities. So it may be hard for a person to get out of that, the pressure of being in that environment of those qualities.
Yes.
What I have perceived from the class today, that our Bhagavad Gita is giving us more steps about how one should solidify their own perception of Devic nature to counter themselves. Would there not be a way that our program, our Upanishads would give us like protocols for following or fighting
Yes.
out your fighting out those asuric pressure that you have in a more structured way,
Right.
so that it's like like a capsule
Right.
For
Right.
different aspects of asuric qualities that one may face. That
Yes.
it being so open-ended.
Thank you. It's a very good question. Can I have your name, please?
My name is Komal.
Komal. Yeah, thank you. Very nice question. So, actually, the entire Bhagavad Gita, repeatedly, Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives us capsules. So, if you look in the 12th chapter, he has talked about Yo Mad Bhakta Same Priya. This, my devotee, is dear to me. And beautifully encapsulated Advaita Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha Nirmamo Nirahankara Samatukha Sukha Kshami. So these qualities he has given. Again, in the 13th chapter, he has talked about different qualities. In the 16th chapter, so in the Bhagavad Gita, these capsules have been given repeatedly. All we have to do is study it and then apply them in our life. So, but the thing is that the Bhagavad Gita, being the essence of the Upanishads, has 700 mantras, but the theme of the entire Bhagavad Gita is one, that you are divine, you are Bhagwan himself is there in every one of us. And right in the second chapter, Bhagwan says, you are that. You are never born, you never die. So the theme of Bhagavad Gita is that we are all divine. And as we study this, if you keep coming, you will find that these ideas get repeated. And and also self-study. That's why he says in this first shloka itself says, Swadhyaya, Swa-adhyaya. Study. So it is very important to study And even what we discussed today, if we just follow these itself, at least for me, I find that studying Bhagavad Gita again and again helps to clarify these thoughts. And we do put them on the website, firstpower.info. So if you wish to listen to all the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are on there. So so I think it is there in the Bhagavad Gita throughout. But then there are smaller texts. Like on Thursday, we have a study group from 8 to 9, which they are starting a new book called Upadesh Sara. Upadesh Sara is the essence of teachings. So Thursday 8 to 9, the website is, I think everybody has. If not, I can send you the Zoom link. Except for Sunday, all other classes are on Zoom. And we are starting a new book on Thursday, which is a very small book where all the 4 paths are given. The path of karma, bhakti, jnana, and dhyana. So many places it is there. It's just a matter of picking up one book and then following it. For me, just studying Bhagavad Gita every day. So what I have told before also in the class, that do study 2 shlokas a day with Swami Chinmayananda's commentary. In 1 year, you will have studied the entire Bhagavad Gita. So just 2 shlokas, maybe about 4 or 5 pages. If you read at night before you go to bed, 5 pages is not hard. And that will change our life. So it is there in many places in brief. But Bhagavad Gita again and again Bhagwan will repeat the same capsules. He has also done in the 2nd chapter, in the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. He has done in the 9th chapter. So they are all there in the Bhagavad Gita. And then also he has given us the highest knowledge of who God is, how does God create, in the 15th chapter. So different aspects are covered. But Bhagavad Gita is relatively easy to understand if you have the right teacher. Because it is in Sanskrit, but the knowledge is very practical. It's not theoretical, that's something. But thank you. Yeah, Lata, we have a last question, then we'll end. Yeah, Lata, go ahead.
One quick question. You said in the last shloka number 6, O Partha, in this creation there are 2 kinds of people. Is there a Sanskrit word in that number 6 that refers to creation?
Sarga. Sargaha means creation.
Bhuta Sargo?
Bhuta Sarga. Sarga means creation.
Sargo is
in the creation.
Okay,
Sargau.
in the creation.
Yeah, so it is the 7th case. Dvau Bhuta Sargau Asmin Loke. So Sarga means creation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll end here. And if there's any more questions, we can talk afterwards, or we can discuss next week. And next week we'll start from shloka number 7. How these Asuri people function. We'll do the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much. See you next week.